So before anything of this video actually starts, I want to preface that I do like Dragon Ball Z a lot more than I like JJK, but I'm just going to be using JJK, okay. I'm just going to be using JJK as an example of modern shonen versus old shonen and what I specifically want from anime, because now that I think about it, it's kind of like maybe hypocritical of me to want certain things out of others. Why would I almost out of certain things from others even though I don't know what it is? So I talked about a lot how Dragon Ball Z fights versus and JJK fights. Why do I like one more over the other than the quality of Dragon Ball Z fights are a lot more? I'm thinking specifically about Shibuya incident fights, in which, yes, there's a lot of like pretty animation, but ultimately, how much of that animation results in a cohesive narrative? Do the visuals actually add on to the story of what's going on? And I don't necessarily know. I can't point out whether or not they do. So let's look into this, because what are people's favorite JJK fights? I think many of them are going to be related to the Shibuya incident arc. Energy Ball. Fireball, wait, okay, this one might be an interesting move. Deals magic and fire damage? This is 120. That's 95. That's 45. And that's gonna be a 5. That's 140. Oh my god. Well, no, this is 180, because this is 60, 60, 120, but it's actually 30, it's actually 90, 90. And this is 95, 45, or 95. It's like, yeah, okay, it's not as, I think, Payoff is decent, but no. Oh my god. How many moves? What? Plus the attack, plus the special attack, and speed. Turn 2? What? Okay, I have to just try what that means. Is it like Geomancy but better? Fend. Oh. Nope. Hanzi. Psychic, but you're not a psychic type, you're Brat. I mean, having burn is always good. You're Brat gender or something. Trans rights, okay, more gender roll? Gender move. Raises speed, but death. On the okay. Oh, so yeah, it's like Geomancy. The other one is like Geomancy. But this is worse Geomancy. I can sleep a target and then trans rights and then outspeed it. But Iconic doesn't really have that strong moves. Like, if I want to sweep with Iconic, then it probably have to be stronger moves than I have already, or that I don't have. Like Moon Blast, but that's probably a favorite type move. Yeah. It's not Stab. Damn it. And then Freezer Paw, that has a pretty decent moveset already. Liquidation, but it's not water type. It's Crab. And Kaiju is already a pretty good move. Bug Bite. I just want a Bug Slap type move. It's not too hard to ask. Building Strike. Please be Bug type. What type is this? Kaiju. Attacks foe with an entire building lowering speed? I'd rather have the Crab type. But then again, if I lower speed, That'd be really good. Kind of. How much speed did I have to lower it by? I think I had to lower it by too much speed for it to actually be worth anything. Okay, but now talking about more JJK fights. That person just spawned in. What is great about JJK fights? The choreography, the animation. Some fights do have emotional significance, like Yuji versus Choso. And you do also learn more about the lore. You know, learn more about blood manipulation, what a blood manipulator can do, and whatnot. And then Dragon Ball Z, are there fights that have no narrative purpose outside of what is outside of this happens, so then this can happen. So for example, Goku fights Raditz, and then he loses against Raditz, and then Piccolo fights. I guess it'd be Piccolo fights Raditz, and then Raditz beats him, and then Goku loses to Raditz. But now that the both of them lost to Raditz, now they can both team up against Raditz. And now that Piccolo dies, and then Goku dies, and then he changes to King Kai, and then he changes to King Kai, and then the Saiyans come, and then people die, and then Goku saves them, and then after Goku saves them, they have to go to Namek. And then, similar to what that also happens with JJK, Gojo gets sealed, and then Nanami has to fight people, and then Yuji also has to fight people before he gets to Nanami, or after he gets to Nanami, and then they have to find the barrier and they have to unseal Gojo. So the sort of all of that stuff does sort of happen. Let's Moon Makeup, let's see what happens. Moon Prism Power Makeup. Okay, that's scary. But now I have Moon Makeup. So now that is attack drastically rose, back, and speed, and dual chop. Okay, and I'm gonna Mega and Flower Trick. So JJK also has that, but I think there's just more emotion. Are there more emotional beats in Dragon Ball fights than JJK? I'm just inclined to say yes. That was not very effective. I'm just inclined to say yes for the sake of me knowing the emotional significance. I don't know how different it is for JJK. It's hard for me. How did he live? It's hard for me to really pinpoint what I'm trying to say here, but it's because what exactly is my point here? It's to quote unquote make the Shibuya incident not the best part of season 2. Because I believe hidden inventory is, but looking at the hidden inventory fights, I think most of the time there is more significance coming out of them. That we learn more about the characters through those fights than we do in the Shibuya fights. Because think about Sukuna versus Maharaga. Yes, we learn about Maharaga, and that Maharaga is adapting to everything. And then Sukuna, oh, he's really strong, even though we already knew that. I guess it also just pinpoints, it quantifies how strong Sukuna is in actuality, which I think that's a fair thing to do. And then, what else is there? Are people really excited over Yuji versus the Bug Monster? No one talks about the Bug Monster Yuji fights. Why? Because it does nothing. What is the point of the Bug Monster? There probably is some point that indicates Yuji's strength at one point, but in his expertise. but the Shibuya incident should have done that already. And so, looking at like every Dragon Ball fights that happen in the main story, is there a single Dragon Ball fight that, narratively speaking, doesn't contribute to either learning more about the character or not learning about the character and just is there to pad time? Like, obviously, like, Dragon Ball Z filler is a thing, so the 30-40 episodes of Goku versus Frieza, I think it's like 30 or 40 episodes, obviously those that plays account into my point of like how narratively significant are those 30 to 40 episodes. I wouldn't say so, but I think that pacing is probably is fixed in Dragon Ball Z Kai, or also just read the manga and it's better pacing. But speaking of pacing, speaking of manga pacing, I should say, many of the fights in the Shibuya incident, I think, are way more condensed than they are in the anime. And what does that mean for me and my enjoyment? I mean, if a fight does not overstay their welcome, that's, I think, is fine. Because what is the point of the fight other than to just exchange, other than just be visual candy? What do we gain from the narrative? So, because hidden inventory fights, I'm taking a lot more. Because even like Gojo versus the clone guy, he's protecting Amanai. We learn more about this Gojo's presence. Kind of. We know that he can't learn. We learned that he doesn't have access to RCT at that point, which is something that we know he has in the future, or when in the present, not in the past. And then obviously there's also Toji, Gojo's fights with Toji. Gojo losing that fight, but in a matter that Toji overwhelming Gojo. Is this shiny or just like shading? Gojo, Toji overwhelming Gojo in the way that he did is why he wins that fight, but it's also, I'm trying to say here, like, I realized a lot of this was sort of like rambling about the points I wanted to make. Oh, that's not a trainer. About the points I wanted to make, and I don't think I've actually made any real good points. I like that the sun is setting in real time. This is like the first time I'm actually seeing this. But the point of the thing, what was I saying? So let me try to actually break down all the fights that happened in Shibuya incident and comparing it to, I don't really know what I should be comparing the fights to. Soda Pack. Guys. That's not a good person. Oh, that's a good person. So I tried to look at a general fight page, but they have manga spoilers, so to not do that, I'm just gonna look at the episodes of the thing, and hopefully I remember which fights happened. I try to like read what they do. So what part of the cutting game am I gonna be counting for this? I'm not gonna count. This is, people say this is the execution arc, Yuji's execution arc, which I don't really know why, but for the sake of making this easier, perfect preparation is the Maki fight, the Maki versus Zenin. Fever and Kog would be the Hakari, and I forgot what's his name, Hakari, and it's Kiwara. Their fights, Tokyo Colony Part 1 and 2, Part 3, Part 4, Part 5, Sendai Colony, that's to be coming. So what happens to the colony? Oh, there's also there was also Yuji vs Panda. When the colony, the first happened there, that'd be Yuji versus Higuruma, Megumi versus Veggie. I think it's like the minor fights in between then, I don't think really mattered. Also just showcases the fact that it's a tournament, it's a battle royale. People will jump you if you're not careful. And then comparing that to Namek Saga, this really is more like hype moments in Aura. I mean, cause like Higuruma, great written, really care about it. So yeah, Higuruma Yuji gets a pass because it still then also contributes to Yuji's character of him like, sort of forgiving himself for what happened in Shibuya. But every time we get to talking about Veggie Star versus Megumi, whose favorite character is Veggie Star? I don't think people's favorite characters are Veggie Star. And so, why is it so long? Why do we spend so much time fighting him in the anime? The manga just feels way more better paced. I read the part from the manga, and Veggie Star didn't overstay his welcome. I think Megumi was able to get his flower. Gege gave Megumi his flowers in that fight, showcasing his combat ability, his IQ, his ableness to respond quickly to situations. When the truck comes at him, when the house comes at him, when all him deducing Veggie's technique, all of that is done well in the manga. But I just felt like there's so many extra frames that happen in the anime that didn't need to happen. Why do we spend so much time running away to the church? Why are there so many great looking frames? Why is it so fluid? It doesn't add to the narrative, kind of. It just doesn't. Why? And then also I'm gonna talk about Takaba. He's great. I like him. He's funny in his own way. A comedian, very strong, good technique. And then that's the end of that. We have Sendai Colony. I am a very big fan of Yuta. I do like Yuji, but I'm a big fan of Yuta. Do I fall under the camp of hypocrisy when I want to speculate of what is going to be happening in Sendai Colony's anime fight? I do not know, because I just don't know. I don't really know how to feel when it's going to come to the Sendai Colony, because as far as I remember, it really is just hyper moments in horror. But I'm a Yuta fan. But Yuta does. I became a fan of Yuta after watching JJK Zero, and the burden he holds himself later. And so, what does that make the Sendai colony? Because this is like a very little. I mean, we do see more stuff about Yuta, but yeah, I don't know. I have to think more deeply into how actually the Sendai colony impacts my enjoyment of the cutting games, because like at the end of it, I don't dislike eye candy. Obviously, it looks good, but when a series is only eye candy, that's when you get solo leveling. And I think JJK is just tiny bit better than solo leveling. Actually, a lot bit better, but I don't want people that like JJK to also like solo leveling because they both have good animation. I like solo leveling and I like JJK, but I like them both for two different reasons. I don't really care about the story of solo leveling because they derived it to be Sung Jin-woo is strong, and then he gets stronger, and then the people he meets are strong at this point, but then they get weak later. Like, I definitely should have noticed the pattern way before nearing the end of season 2 of solo leveling, but seeing that they set up, I think it's cool. I don't know where the person. It might be Japan's strongest soldier. They set up the person to be equal to. Oh my god, he's so much as strong. Oh, he's just as strong as Sung Jin-woo. And then later he gets one shot by the Baro, the king. You know, the ant king guy person, not the king, but the prince king of the thing. You know, he gets one shot, and it's like, okay, so why do we care? Why do we care about any character other than Jinwoo? But then again, Jinwoo is just gonna overfarm. He is just overfarming character. Yeah, but I don't just want JJK to be the overfarming show. That like Dragon Ball isn't the overfarming show, unless you're Piccolo. I guess Piccolo does all the overfarming, but even then there is some over other characters have. Like Gohan takes the sensu beads from Cell, throws them up, kills every Cell Jr., goes back to the same location, and then picks up then catches the sensu beads. That's hype. That's aura. But I just don't want JJK to fall in that boat. But yeah, I guess that's my rant. I don't know what y'all actually learned, if anything, from this rant. So, that definitely didn't screw up anything. So yeah, see y'all. Have a good day.